Silent Hill 3 is a fantastic entry in the Silent Hill franchise, and it is seen to many as the best Silent Hill game. This title is a direct sequel to Silent Hill 1 and has no correlation to the events of Silent Hill 2. It released on May 23rd of 2003, just short of 2 years after Silent Hill 2's release on September 21st, 2001. Silent Hill 3 was actually put into development just a couple of months after the second game's release, and development began somewhere around November in 2001, and development for Silent Hill 4 actually started around the same time. Basically, our beloved Team Silent gets zero breaks once again. They getting that Shein treatment, or Shane. I don't fucking know. However, this time around, they split Team Silent to work on both of the games simultaneously, and Silent Hill 3 only had around 40 members working on it, while Silent Hill 2 had around 60. In this game, we lost Sato Takayoshi, who was the character designer and lead animator for Silent Hill 2. He sadly made the incredibly intelligent decision to leave Konami. It sucks that he left, but goddamn, Konami only got worse and worse. But with Sato's departure, the team lost his vision of subtle and psychological horror, and this time it took a more head-on approach with more physical and gory horror. SH3 was originally going to be a rail shooter. I know that just sounds so wrong. But the devs had this idea due to poor sales in Japan and a lot of backlash, but thankfully this idea was scrapped. But on the contrary, this scrapped rail shooter consumed 8 out of the 18 months of development time they had, which means Silent Hill 3 was developed in an insanely hellish and rushed 10 months. Jesus Christ. So it was in development between September 2002 and May of 2003. Owaku Hiroyuki thought writing about a young woman would be a good way to refresh the game and touch upon new themes and conflicts about a teenage girl. It's also the first Silent Hill game with a female protagonist. And our boy Ito Masahiro wanted to make use of the color red as it was linked to the ideologies and problems of a female protagonist and a motif to Alessa's rather wicked past. And also, Akira Yamaoka came back to do the soundtrack for SH3 and SH4, and as always, it fucking slaps. Silent Hill 3 took inspiration from many sources of media such as the film Santa Sangre, especially for its more cult themes, and Jacob's Ladder, but we've known Jacob's Ladder's influence since the beginning. But this time around, there's more tangible references, which I'll mention when we get there. Okay, from here on out, there are going to be extremely heavy spoilers, so don't say I didn't warn you. We start off with some carousel spinning and some weird humanoid thing twitching sporadically. Then with blurry vision, we can finally see our protagonist, Heather Mason, as she asks the question,
"Where am I?"
Armed with a knife and a flashlight, we find ourselves at the Lakeside Amusement Park, which is referenced in the second game, but is now an actual location. We see some bloody mascots and some genuinely disturbing looking shit in cages, but I digress. Then onto our next location, and shit immediately hits the fan, with blaring industrial noises, the fucking stupid dogs, and our funny little run animation. Also, these dogs are actually called doubleheads. It is a canine entity that typically attacks in groups, and it's always on sight with them. They do not give a fuck. Also, their name refers to their jawline, in which their heads are split vertically down the middle. They are wrapped in bandages of bloody strips of flesh, and they appear to be burned, like, pretty bad. They're actually a nod to Cerberus to tell the player that they are indeed entering a nightmarish realm, and its appearance is heavily influenced by Alessa, but we'll talk more about that when we get there. So we find ourselves in this little store, but there's not much we can do here at the moment, so we go back out and see our friends called Closers. The entire design of the closer looks like an imitation of the female body, for its face is reminiscent of a pair of lips, and it appears to be wearing a miniskirt. It has a very tall and imposing stature with incredibly big ass arms, if you can call them that. It also represents some more stuff about Alessa, but again, I'll talk more about that later. So we start making our way up to this roller coaster with an overwhelming amount of industrial noises. We hop onto the tracks as it's our only option and continue forward, just to get absolutely annihilated by our favorite roller coaster. And it turns out it was all a dream. There will be a global pandemic in 2019. As this is a parallel to the first game's opening, with Harry Mason starting in a dream as well. We get some very nice lighting effects from the blinds as Heather awakens. She says,
"What a nightmare."
Then proceeds to get up and leave. We appear to be in some sort of shopping center as we make our way to a telephone, and Heather calls her father, letting him know that she's on her way and didn't get something that he asked her for. This suspicious man pulls up and somehow knows Heather's name, claiming that he is a detective named Douglas Cartland, but Heather just brushes him off, as she should, but Douglas proceeds by saying that there's someone that wants to meet with her and that it's about her birth. Pretty odd in my opinion. She says,
"I'm not interested."
Bro continues to just follow her in a very creepy fashion when she finally has had enough.
You still following me?
We get into the bathroom and there is a strange red symbol on the mirror. As Heather says, it looks familiar. The symbol is known as the halo of the sun. The two outer circles represent charity and resurrection, as the three inner circles represent present, past, and future. Okay, so now Heather escapes the bathroom through a conveniently opened window. She makes her way down an alley and enters a building as we are cordially invited with a deafening silence. We go through some double doors and see massive amounts of what we can only assume is blood on the floor and walls. As we follow the trail, we find ourselves inside of this store, and Heather sees a handgun on the ground. She picks it up without any hesitation. Then we see a closer absolutely munching on a poor woman's face. It notices Heather and starts pursuing her as Heather yells, "Stay back! Get the hell away from me!" And then she proceeds to fucking empty the clip.
Anyway, I started blasting.
She got that action. Luckily, it was enough to take it down, but there's no way in hell this would actually work in game, because those motherfuckers are healthy as fuck. Anyways, it starts shaking some ass, and then Heather asks,
What the hell is this thing?
We look around, grab some bullets, and continue onward. We find a map, and now the game has officially begun. We are in a big-ass mall, and I mean big. We make our way to the second floor and see our next new enemy, Numbodies. They lack any sort of notable features other than it's fucking gross. They are rather slow and clumsy and have extremely pale skin. They seem to resemble sperm cells and appear in various sizes. As if you see one of them, there's typically a couple of more around. They're also a parallel to the Grey Children from the original Silent Hill. But anyway, we go into Helen's bakery and acquire a pair of tongs. Also, it's bread. Heather finds her way into some kind of storage closet with a double head in it. We blast him and yo Heather, that's enough.
It's enough slices!
But hey, we got some beef jerky. We find another storage area with multiple health drinks and some bullets. We see a key under a wooden pallet and use those tongs we found to grab it. We use that same key to gain access into a bookstore, as we find 5 Shakespeare anthologies on the floor. This is our first real puzzle, ironically called the Shakespeare Anthology Puzzle. In normal mode, we get a clue in a memo, as it states, fair is foul and foul is fair. Put these books out of order. So we put the books in a random order and rearrange them so that a 4-digit code lines up with all of the books. And that's it. The code is always random in every playthrough. But in hard mode, this shit is ridiculous. And you at least require some basic knowledge of Shakespeare, so you get this long ass memo that's actually a poem, as it lists these books in a specific order. First up is Hamlet, as it reads, "The first words at thy left hand, a false lunacy, a madly dancing man, hearing unhearable words, drawn to a beloved's grave, and there, mayhap, true madness at last." Second up is our favorite, Romeo and Juliet, as it reads, "As did this one, playing at death, find true death at the last, killing a nameless lover, she pierced a heart rent by sorrow." Next up is Macbeth, "Doth lie invite truth, doth verity but wear the mask of falsehood? Ah, thou pitiful, thou miserable ones." Then we have Othello, "Still amidst lies, though end cometh not, wherefore yearn for death. Wilt thou attend to thy beloved? Truth and lies, life and death, a game of turning white to black and black to white." Then finally, King Lear, "Is not a silence brimming with love more precious than flattery? A peaceful slumber preferred to a throne besmirched with blood?" Okay, so this next verse requires us to do some math, and I'm not the best at math, but let's take a little shot. Now with our books in order from Hamlet, Romeo and Juliet, Macbeth, Othello, and King Lear, we can solve the puzzle. The next verse reads, "One vengeful man spilled blood for 2, and it's referring to Hamlet. So apparently we multiply the volume number by 2. So now the code is 81352. The next line reads, "Two youths shed tears for 3, referring to Romeo and Juliet. So we must multiply the volume number by 3, with the code now being 83352. The final 2 lines are 3 witches disappeared thusly, and only the 4 keys remain, meaning we must get rid of one of these numbers, which just so happens to be Macbeth, with the final code being 8352. We put in the code and get through the door. We see a woman in a black cloak saying some creepy shit, and Heather really just says what everyone is thinking.
What are you talking about?
The woman says that Heather's power is needed, and that her name is Claudia, and says,
"Remember me, and your true self as well. Also, that which you must become. The one who will lead us to paradise with blood-stained hands."
Claudia, right? Did you do all this?
It was the hand of God.
Heather is then overwhelmed by this intense ringing as her vision becomes blurry and Claudia walks out of sight. Now we can continue through an elevator as a radio falls down the ceiling as it only picks up static. This static sound is a warning that enemies are nearby, and it's just an item that has been prevalent in Silent Hill 1 and 2. You actually have the option to turn it off, but it really only makes things worse. We get off the elevator into this dark room. The lights turn on and we see some grotesque figure. Heather gets frightened and some bars come down behind her. The entire room descends as the figure follows. We are now in Otherworld, so everything is just a little more fucked up. We make our way into another room for an ampoule, a save, and some health drinks. We exit and proceed through a couple of big friends and find a flashlight, a first aid kit, and some bullets. Nice. Then the next room over is a bathroom and we get some bleach. We arrive in the same store we found the gun in and acquire a hanger and a bulletproof vest, which makes Heather a little slower but allows her to take less damage. We arrive in a room with a ladder that we can't reach, so we use the hanger and unwind it to pull it down. We go up the ladder to the second floor and grab a walnut. We see a door with a moon on it, but we can't do anything with it right now. So we go and enter a restaurant, and there just so happens to be a barbecued dog on the table, and we find a cooked key in its stomach. We use the key to obtain our first good melee weapon, a steel pipe. We progress through this gross ass place and find some detergent. We see this huge fan and there's a switch to turn it on and off. We go into the next room and combine the bleach with the detergent into a barrel and turn the fan on so we can make our way through. And then we get into a room to find a vise. We use it to crack open the walnut and get a moonstone. We use the moonstone on the door with the symbol and it opens. We go down this long ass ladder and it's fucking long, and suddenly it breaks. We have made it to our first boss fight, the split worm. It takes heavy inspiration after the split head creature from the first game. It also seems to resemble some type of yucky stuff, but it attacks by burrowing in and out of these holes in the arena with a little ground pound and a chomp attack. We shoot it when its mouth is exposed and it goes down. Everything seems to have gone back to normal. We proceed to try and exit the mall, but Douglas stops us and seems confused as well. Heather accuses him of working with Claudia, and Douglas seems to recognize her and says,
"Look, I was just hired to find you. I'm not on anybody's side. I don't know anything about this. What are you talking about? What's so special about you anyway?"
If I knew that, I wouldn't be so confused, would I? But I know there's something I've been running from and forgot for a long time. How did I remember that?
Where are you going?
I'm taking the subway home.
What should I do?
Hell if I know.
we are officially in the second level of the game, the subway. We explore a little and find a map. Also, it is eerily quiet in here, so let's try and hurry this up. We find a little memo on the ground that basically says dead souls who died suddenly don't realize they're dead and sometimes haunt that particular place. They can also possess humans often in high accident areas, and that you should be very careful when entering said areas. Okay, so that's kind of weird, but anyways, we find a nutcracker and break a chain that's blocking our way. We waltz on into an abandoned train that conveniently has a shotgun in a gift-wrapped box, along with some shells. We then hop onto some tracks and try to open a door, but it's locked. Some doubleheads surround us as a train horn starts sounding off. We quickly get off the tracks as a train comes and stops. Also, this is a good time to mention the Jacob's Ladder references, specifically the platform in Bergen Street, also the padlocked gate, and the main character of the film is also almost ran over by a train while standing on the tracks. But anyway, we can't enter the train from this side, so we make our way around and enter. The doors close and the train starts to move. We move along and there are some numb bodies in the carts, and we fucking blast them. We now meet our next new enemy called Insane Cancer. I know, it's a very fucking intense name. They're extremely fat and strong, and they could possibly represent the town's corruption, like a spreading cancer. But anyway, we're just gonna avoid, bro. Trust me, that shit is not worth it. Also, there's a pretty funny death scene where Heather falls off the train. Just thought I'd mention it. We reach the end of the train as it comes to a stop. It is now extremely dark and we descend down some stairs. We find our next melee weapon and it's a maul. It's very slow, so it's not worth using, but hey, we got it now. Then we find the map of the underpass. Also, I haven't mentioned them yet, but these annoying fuckers are called pendulums. They fly at you and make this really fucking loud sound. It represents Heather's upside down feelings about her home life and the people she loves. There's also a version of them that crawls on the ground, Kinda. I don't know. They're fucking creepy, man. I fucking hate them. Anyway, we find a wine bottle and fill it up with some kerosene, and we put it in a tank in order to drain some water that's blocking our path. We move on and find a blow dryer, oddly. But we enter a room with an outlet and plug in the dryer, and we throw it in and kill whatever is in the water. We go up a ladder and we make it out of the sewers to enter a building. We go all the way up to the 5th floor, and we hit a weak part of the wall to acquire a silencer. And I guess this is a Metal Gear Solid reference because there's a silencer. Konami. Now Heather pushes a mattress down a hole to the 4th floor. We drop down, go through some pendulums, and go through a window. We obtain the office building map and go to the 5th floor to get a jack. Then we find a screwdriver and my personal favorite weapon, the katana. We are now able to open a rusty drawer with our newly acquired screwdriver to get a rope. Then we use the jack to pry open the elevator and use the rope to go down. Heather finds a bathtub and tries to turn it on as it fills with blood, and her head starts to ring again as the walls and floors turn red. Then there's a prompt that reads, "It's being invaded by the other world. By a world of someone's nightmarish delusions come to life." Heather gets pissed, and to be honest, I feel it. We see a note on the wall that says, "Find the Holy One. Kill her?" And it's actually a picture of Heather. Weird. Then we get this cutscene.
Heather. That's what you're called now, isn't it?
And who are you?
The name's Vincent. Don't forget it, okay? I'm on your side.
So you say. But how do I know you're not with her?
Her? You mean Claudia? Please don't lump me together with her. She was totally brainwashed by that crazy old hag. Well, I guess crazy old hag is a bit harsh. She is your mother, after all.
My mother? What do you mean?
You don't remember? So Harry didn't tell you anything. I guess he hid the truth to keep you on his side, eh? That figures. He's a pretty sneaky guy.
Don't talk about my dad like that!
Sorry. I apologize. Please, calm down.
How do you know my father anyway?
I know everything. I know about your past, too.
Then tell me what's going on.
You don't know even that?
That's why I'm asking. If you know everything, then tell me how I can put an end to this.
Not yet. Why not enjoy yourself a bit longer?
Enjoy? I feel like I'm going crazy. Does this place get to you at all?
Oh, it gets to me, all right. I find it most fascinating. Wait! I'm not finished talking!
I knew you were on her side.
How do you figure?
There's something wrong with you, too.
So that's Vincent. And doesn't he kind of look like Seth Green from Scooby-Doo? We read an excerpt from a chemistry book that states, when you pour diluted hydrogen peroxide onto manganese dioxide, oxygen is produced. Although oxygen will not burn on its own, it will help things to burn. We then grab some oxidol in the same room. Then we take an elevator to the 1st floor and find a fridge with pork liver in it. And then we go back up to the 5th floor to find a matchbook. Also, these are slippers, and I fucking hate them. Like, I really fucking hate them. They fucking suck. We combine the pork liver, the matchbook, and the oxidol to light this portrait on fire. It reveals a secret door and we go through. We find a fairy tale and it goes like this. The priestess accepted the knight's request and went to the village gates. But when she saw the monster, she tried to convince it with words instead of killing it. Shut up, you. I'm going to eat you up. The monster didn't listen to a word the priestess said, but she kept trying to convince the monster to give up. It's wrong to eat people, you know. The monster grew very angry at this and attacked her, killing her in a single mighty blow. Pretty fucked up story, but whatever. We find a silver coin and try to use it on the vending machine to get a soda, but instead we get a key. We go back to the 1st floor and see what Heather thinks is the monster from the story, and it looks pretty fucked. We use the life insurance key and open a door to find the rest of the story. The king and his people shed tears at the death of the kind priestess. God took pity upon them, and granting their wishes healed the priestess. The priestess opened her eyes just as she had done every morning of her life. She went once more to the monster's lair. Fool, You wish to die again? No, this time it's your turn. The priestess had come to defeat the monster once and for all. As the priestess was very, very kind, she felt sad about this task, but it had to be done. Swords and spears won't work. Arrows and bullets will just bounce off. You can't kill me. The monster laughed, but the priestess used neither sword nor spear. She chanted but a single spell. Tifui Ego Eris. Do you know what happened here then? The monster let out a huge cry and then died and vanished. Thus the villagers were able to use their gates once more. Everyone lavished their gratitude upon the priestess and they all lived happily ever after.
Tifui Ego Eris. Weird writing. What was that?
The monster seems to be gone, so we can now leave and finally arrive at our apartment.
Dad, I'm home. Listen, something really crazy's going on. I think we should... Dad? Dad?
No! 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 Did you do this?
You're late.
But why? Why?
Revenge for 17 years ago, for one thing. If not for him, our dream would have come true. And then he took you away from us.
I'll get you for this!
There is another reason. To fill your heart with hatred. It must be this way. One day you'll understand why.
No, I'll never understand!
You must try to remember me, and your true self as well. You will birth a god, and build an eternal paradise. He's the one who killed your father. I merely gave the order. So, what will you do? I'll be waiting where all begins. In the town of Silent Hill.
Well, that was a lot to unpack, but first we have a boss fight called the Missionary. It's tall, has a sack on its head, and a noose around its neck as it wields 2 blades. This motherfucker is actually a pretty cool boss in my opinion. We can't shoot him from the front because he'll deflect the bullets, so we must shoot him from behind. Then we knock him down and give him a little kick. Also, this fucker is pretty fast, god damn. We give him some more back shots and he goes down. Heather goes back down the stairs and we see Douglas.
I don't know what to say.
Then don't say anything.
I'm fine, so just get out of here and leave me alone already!
Calm down.
Calm down? How am I supposed to do that? My father is dead! He's murdered! Get out! This is all your fault! If it weren't for you...
I'm sorry.
Then go!
If it'll make you feel better, I will. Is he okay like this?
What else can I do? There's no one here to give him a decent burial. I'm sorry, Dad.
What do you do now?
I'm going to Silent Hill.
What's in Silent Hill?
I don't know.
Do you think it's safe?
Of course it isn't. I don't know what kind of hell is waiting for me there, but I've got no other choice. I don't care about God or paradise. If that's what she believes, then fine. But she won't get away with what she did. When I find her, I'll kill her myself.
Revenge doesn't solve anything.
Maybe not, but that's what I'm going to do.
How are you gonna get there?
None of your business.
I'll give you a ride.
I don't need your help.
Yeah, but it's too far to walk. Besides, I'm partly responsible for this. I'll bring the car around back. Come by and we'll finish saying goodbye.
You know, you might die too.
That's fine. Nobody's gonna cry over my grave.
We are now free to look around the apartment and find a stun gun, and that's really about it, so we leave and Douglas is outside waiting.
I just met some guy named Vincent.
Vincent?
He's a friend of yours, right?
I'm not sure.
He said when we get to Silent Hill to look for a guy named Leonard, and he gave me this map. What do you want to do?
We can't trust him, but we've got no other choice.
Here, take this too.
What's this?
Your father was holding it. Started raining. Are you sleeping?
I'm awake.
You cold? What's the deal with Silent Hill anyway? It used to be a nice, quiet little town. But now...
You've been there?
Once. On a missing persons case. Never did find him. But I'll tell you, that's one screwed up town. My line of work, you hear a lot of nasty rumors.
I was born and raised there.
Sorry. I didn't mean to offend you.
No offense taken.
Anyway, I thought you grew up in Portland. What's wrong? Feeling sick?
My head's pounding like the worst hangover ever.
Maybe your car's sick.
No. I'm just trying to remember. My childhood. Something terrible happened in Silent Hill 17 years ago. A woman named Dahlia. She tried to summon the ancient god of the town. She offered up her very own daughter.
That's crazy.
Maybe so, but it worked. The girl gave birth to a god. You see, that girl had special powers.
Powers?
Her classmates called her a witch. She could make things happen with her mind. She could kill people just by wishing for it. But in the end, that god was killed by a single person. My father, Harry Mason. I guess it wasn't much of a god if it could be killed by a human being. But I think Claudia's trying to do the same thing again. And I've been chosen as the sacrifice.
You've got some kind of power in you too?
After the god was killed, the girl reappeared. She was holding a baby in her arms. Before she died, she gave the baby to my father. Me just like I was his very own daughter. Even though he didn't know who or what I was. It was so sudden. I never had a chance to tell you how happy you made me.
I'm gonna head for that Leonard guy's house. You check out the hospital. You got the map, right?
Yeah.
You gonna be okay alone?
I'm not a child, you know. Are you sure it's not you who's afraid to be alone?
You're right. I am afraid. I'm 50-something years old. I ain't never seen nothing like this. I feel like I'm dreaming.
More like a nightmare, I'd say.
Yeah. I want to wake up and have a smoke already. Meet me back here when you're finished looking around the hospital. Okay?
Roger.
Okay, so if you couldn't tell by now, Heather is the reincarnation of Alessa Gillespie and Cheryl Mason, and she's the adopted daughter of the original Silent Hill protagonist, Harry Mason. Before Heather was born, a cult in the town of Silent Hill impregnated the psychic child Alessa Gillespie with the fetus of their god so that it could be born and bring their horrific version of paradise to mankind. During the ritual, Alessa sustained significant burns, causing her to split her soul into two halves, one remaining in her charred body, while the other manifested as the baby that Harry found on the side of the road. 7 years later, Harry and Cheryl returned to Silent Hill on vacation, in turn causing the two souls to reunite and allowing for the birth of God to take place. Harry was able to stop the deity, but the ritual was too much for the now whole Alessa. As she was dying, she was reincarnated as a baby saved by Harry during the ordeal. However, 17 years later, the cult managed to track down Heather in an attempt to birth God once more. So Claudia had Harry murdered, prompting Heather to seek revenge and stop the cult as her father did years ago. And yeah, that's about that. Okay, so now we have a arrived in Silent Hill, and our next destination is Brookhaven Hospital, and we see our next new enemy, the nurses. Yay! And this time, they're fucking strapped, but so am I, bitch! But anyway, we find the hospital map and find this creepy journal entry that reads, "This day has finally come. That's right, the day when you and I will meet. I was always thinking of you, here in this gloomy cell. I never even knew your name or face until today, but now I know. I know you're the one I've been waiting for, and haven't you been waiting for me too? That's why you came to rescue me. Oh, how I love you, Heather. I want to give you my prized doll I made to commemorate our meeting, the start of this everlasting love." Ah, I can already see your smiling face. Yeah, I don't know about you guys, but what the fuck did I just read? So apparently we have a stalker, but now we go up to the second floor and see another entry that reads, "You may not yet have realized your own true feelings, but you sense them unconsciously, and so you're trying to get closer to me. That's a virtue, the path to paradise. If the door's locked, open it. Use the password for the prison gates. Dr. I've forgotten his name. Anyway, that quack has it posted. He should be here too. I mean, 4 numbers would have been good enough, but he kept on going. Isn't it a shame? I'm not there. Aren't you irritated? I long for you, but you're so cruel. Still, I want you, Heather. Stanley Coleman." Okay, so super fucking creepy, but it's really starting to gross me out. So we get to our next puzzle with the memo stating, "The first is larger than the second twice the third smaller than the fourth is half the first." But before we dive into that, we grab some nail polish remover and a perfume bottle. Okay, so we get back to the padlock for the puzzle. So the first number is larger than the second, so let's go with 8. And the second is twice the third, but the third is smaller than the fourth, so we'll go with 6 and 3. Since 6 is twice as large as 3, and since the fourth is half of the first number and larger than the third number, we can safely say it's 4. So we put in the code 8634, and we did it. So we see a body with "The start time is my key" tattooed on their arm, and we get to a room where an alarm clock is going off, as the time it's showing is 6:50. We see another entry that states, "There was a tattooed guy on that rumpled bed. Not anymore though. That alarm clock and filthy bag are his. Ah, but don't misunderstand. I haven't done a thing. I didn't hate him, though he was a liar. Shall I write something of my own? On my chest, since I can't cut it open to show you my heart. I love Heather." No, something a bit more forceful. "I love Heather" isn't enough for what I feel. Oh, what tender emotion this image brings. God, these just keep getting worse and worse, please. We then see a lock and put the time in, and it opens, and we acquire an instant camera. We go back to the first floor to use the nail polish remover to get the stairwell key off the wall. We use the stairwell key to gain access to the basement. We get some submachine gun bullets, and a wheelchair proceeds to interrupt. We find the submachine gun next to this elevator that's absolutely riddled with bullets and blood. But then we use the instant camera to acquire our next code, which is 8631. We go to the rooftop and get some bullets, as there's really not much else to do up here. Now we can go to the 3rd floor and use that code that we took a picture of to continue onward. We then find Coleman's final entry on a bed next to a broken doll that reads, "Goodbye, Heather. I'm sorry I wasn't able to respond to your love. It's all over. Leonard despises me because I made fun of it, saying it would come to this. If it weren't for his meddling, I would have been able to meet you in just a little while. Then I could have taken you to my world, a world for us alone, more beautiful than this one. And I have been waiting for this day, for today, the day I see you, the day you'd save me, today. Heather, watch out for him. Leonard is no ordinary guy. Farewell. I loved you. Heather, my goddess. Heather, my lover. Heather, my..." Okay, well, I'm glad that's over, but now a telephone starts to ring as Heather answers.
Hello?
Claudia.
No, I'm not.
Don't lie to me, Claudia. You're always trying to run from your responsibilities. Have you come to apologize? Or maybe you still don't realize how foolish you've been. The salvation of all mankind. Ah, what a ridiculous dream.
Wait, just listen to me for a second.
I've heard enough from you already. How did you turn out this way? Where did I go wrong?
Listen to me already. I'm not Claudia.
You're not Claudia.
My name is Heather.
Heather.
Who are you?
Leonard Wolf. I'm sorry. I thought you were my daughter.
Claudia is your daughter?
Oh, so you know her, do you? Are you one of her followers?
No, never. When I find her,
I can feel the hatred.
What?
behind your words. The anger. You plan to kill her, don't you?
I'm sorry, but she killed my father.
She's a fool, but she's still my daughter. I was going to forgive her if she changed her ways, but I see it's too late. Heather, will you help me?
Help you?
I'm locked up in here, and I must stop Claudia.
Where are you now?
I'm not sure myself, but the door is at the end of the hall on the second floor. I think I can be of help to you. I have a seal. Please.
A seal? The end of the hall on the second floor.
So we listen and go to the end of the hall on the second floor, but everything seems wrong. We reach the end and climb this tall ladder, and see our friend Valtiel just chilling, as we're now in Otherworld. We take the elevator down to the crematorium to obtain the cremated key. We go up to the woman's locker room and get a plastic bag. Then we hear a telephone ring again.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear. Oh, I forgot your name.
Who are you?
Oh, okay, thanks. Happy birthday, dear. Who are you? Happy birthday to you. Happy 31st birthday.
Is this Leonard?
That's the murderer's name, not my name. I'm not your beloved Stanley either. He's underground now. His new name is Number 7. But don't worry about that now. It's time to celebrate your birthday.
You've got me mistaken for someone else. Today's not my...
I'm not mistaken. Today is your 24th birthday. And I have a present for you. Which do you prefer? To give pain or to receive it? You can have the one you hate the most. Happy birthday to you!
But you're wrong. It's not my birthday.
Well, continuing on from whatever the hell that was, we make our way to the third floor and fill the plastic bag with blood. Then we go back down to floor 1 and find some type of ritual room. We use the blood and take the ladder down, and this happens.
Heather?
Yeah? Leonard, where are you?
Thank you. Now I can finally leave here. Now Claudia's ridiculous dream is over. Well, I guess it's time to dispose of her. The salvation of all mankind. Ha! Why must we reward even the unbelievers?
What are you talking about?
About our plans, of course. It's true that God is merciful, but first, one must be chosen. Only we, who hearken to the voice of God, will be given the keys to paradise. Don't you think so, Heather?
Yeah, sure. Go ahead and think whatever you want.
What do you mean by that?
I mean that I don't think the way you guys do. I don't want any part of that kind of paradise.
You're an unbeliever. You deceived me.
I didn't deceive you. We were both just wrong about each other. I thought you were a normal person.
So you tried to trick me so you can run off with my seal, eh? Heretic! You plan to destroy God!
I told you I wasn't trying to trick anyone. What is this seal thing anyway?
Don't play innocent. You can't fool me anymore. The seal is mine! I was appointed by God to be its guardian! The only thing you'll get from me is a gruesome death.
Leonard? Is that you?
Death to all who turn their backs on God!
Is every person here a mental case? Well, I guess you're not a person anyway.
Well, this is Leonard, who appears to be rather reptilian-like, almost like a drowned victim. His face is mutated and has what looks like black tongues protruding out of his face. This fight is just him swimming and Heather shooting. So we don't really know if Leonard is actually just a normal dude or not, but it is weird how he sounds entirely normal. However, everything is up for interpretation, but one thing is for certain. He abused Claudia, like, a lot. But anyway, we defeat him and escape Otherworld as we acquire a talisman. We leave the hospital and this happens.
Why did you send her to my father?
Was that wrong?
It's your fault that he...
Oh, but surely it's a good thing. It means he was one of God's beloved, no?
Those who mock God will never receive salvation. You'll go to hell, Vincent. You'll never feel the joy of God's everlasting paradise.
And you think God is going to save you? Ha!
What do you know anyway?
I know about the pleasures of this world. And I want to find my happiness while I'm still here. You hated your father, didn't you? I saw the way he hit you, and kicked you, and made you cry. The memory of his cruelty is forever burned into my mind.
Yes, yes, and that's why we need God.
What you call faith is nothing more than a child crying out for love. That's why you're all alone.
You don't understand. None of you do.
So we make our way back to Douglas, but instead we see Seth Green.
Where's Douglas?
He went out, but he left a message for you.
Was there someone else here just now?
No, just me. Don't you want to know what the message is?
Yeah, what did he say?
The church is on the other side of the lake.
Church? Wonder what he meant by that.
You don't understand? That's where Claudia is. Across the lake, on the north side. If you're going, you better go through the amusement park. It's probably the only way in now. Go northwest on Nathan Avenue. It's a bit far, but closer than heaven.
Is that it for the message?
Uh-huh.
Thanks. Douglas really said that?
What's wrong? You don't trust me?
So we make our way up the road and arrive at the Lakeside Amusement Park, the same one from our nightmare. We go back into that store and find the roller coaster key. We use the key and turn off the controls. The roller coaster comes, but this time Heather jumps.
I hired you to find the girl, and you performed serviceably. What is it now?
You lied to me about Heather, lady. I don't like being used.
Lie? What lie?
That Heather was kidnapped from
But it's true. She was originally one of us. That man, Harry Mason, stole her away and kept her hidden from us.
you. Yeah, but she says she was happy.
She was brainwashed by him, deceived, because her true self had not yet awoken. She carries God within her. But when Alessa, Mother of God, truly awakens,
Yeah? What's gonna happen?
she will usher in the eternal paradise.
What kind of place is that?
A place with no pain, no hunger, no sickness, no old age. There will be no greed or war, and all will live by God's grace alone.
No this, no that, no nothing. A paradise? For castrated sheep, maybe. Sounds pretty boring.
I pity you. You still don't understand. You're going to kill me? Is it really so easy for you?
I've done it before.
Then I truly do pity you.
Heather awakens as we enter the Borley haunted mansion.
Welcome to the Borley Haunted Mansion. We're so glad you came. Please come inside and look around. When you feel you're ready, then go through the door. Help! Help! Do you hear those voices? A family of 4 was sliced into bloody pieces in this room. The cries of the children. The murderer was caught. Do you know why he said he killed his family? Because I felt I had to! Anyway, I'm lying. It's all just a joke. I wanted to scare you, that's all. The truth is, only one person died by suicide. That's Danny. A quiet young man, but quite friendly as you can see. He was so eager to meet you. His hometown is New Orleans, but he came here after first losing his way. Oh, maybe you might know. Where is the path to heaven? This mansion is quite old, so please watch your step. I'm so sorry. This place is just falling apart. The mechanism is broken, you see. It wasn't supposed to stop there, I assure you. That was supposed to be the exit, but it seems that no one wants you to leave. Everyone really likes you. They want you to stay with them forever. I have to agree with them.
We get this little chase sequence and reach the exit, but we are back in the park. However, we grab a chain and a red shoe. We attach the chain to the carousel and unlock the gate nearby. We turn it on and it opens the door.
Douglas,
You're late.
are you hurt?
I can't move my right leg. I think it's broken.
I'll call an ambulance.
Hold it. I don't think one will come. Don't worry. I'm used to it.
You old fool! Getting yourself hurt like that?
Sorry.
Why did you have to do that for me? What'll I do if you die?
What'll we do if this God thing gets born.
Come on. How powerful could a god from a dump like this be? I'm sure it'll be no big deal.
Yeah, but anyway, something's gonna happen.
Who knows? Maybe we'd all be better off if it did.
But if this is how a God of Mercy acts, I don't want to see any more of him. That's a pretty good reason to risk my life, don't you think? Plus, I'm just an old fool, right?
You think you're Superman or something?
You know, I always wanted to be him. Besides,
Yeah.
I want to help you out.
You don't have to feel responsible. I know it's not your fault.
You remind me of my son.
You said nobody was going to cry for you.
Dead people don't cry. Stupid kid got himself shot robbing a bank.
But why?
Maybe because his pop was a penniless good-for-nothing. Who knows? Anyway, now I guess I'll never find out. Sorry. I shouldn't have said you reminded me of a guy like you.
Well, maybe if you had compared me to your daughter. Listen, I'll take care of the rest. You stay here and I'll be back when it's over.
You'll be okay by yourself.
Hey, no problem. Besides, my dad's not around anymore, so only I can do this. What are you doing?
Maybe killing you here is the only way to end this nightmare.
Yeah, you might be right.
Then we get a doll head and an ample. We then give the doll head to a Snow White mannequin and the shoe to Cinderella. We now go back to the carousel and everything is fucked. We must hit all of these horses for an absurd amount of time until finally this happens. This boss is called the Memory of Alessa, and if you couldn't tell, it looks exactly like Heather. It is the imprint that Alessa left in Otherworld by her mind and powers. Also, in the center of the carousel is fire, referring to Alessa's immolation and endless torment. It desires the obstruction of God's birth, and she fights with a knife, a pipe, the pistol, and then finally the SMG. Upon her death, she leaves a message on the ground. It would be better for myself to die. After all, it's nothing to be afraid of. That child, that demon. When I think of the endless pain it will bring when it is birthed, I decided that, instead of the suffering and cruelty I endured in that sick room, that I would like to bestow a more gentle and peaceful death on myself. Why do I resist? I never thought of myself as such a fool. Heather says, Alessa, I guess it's kind of strange for me to call you that since you are me, but you know what? You and I don't think alike after all. And it's not that I don't remember that sick room either. Now, we have no choice but to go down this long ass corridor and finally reach a door as we see Claudia.
How did you get here? It was Vincent, wasn't it? He led you here. When will he cease his meddling? But it's just as well. Luring you here also serves my purposes.
Checkmate.
Not yet. The time is not yet at hand. The time when all will be forgiven their sins. When the paradise we have long dreamed for will arrive. After the judgment and atonement, an eternity of bliss. Oh, Alessa, the world you wanted is nearly here.
That's not what I want.
Not you. Alessa, your true self.
But I am Alessa. My little Claudia, my dear sweet sister.
Alessa, is it you? Oh, how I've missed you.
I don't need another world. It's fine the way it is.
But you said it yourself. The world must first be cleansed with fire.
But that's not what I want now.
Alessa, don't you want happiness? Have you become blind to all the hopeless suffering in the world? We all need God's salvation.
Listen, suffering is a fact of life. Either you learn how to deal with that or you go under. You can stay in your own little dream world, but you can't keep hurting other people. Besides, I'll never forgive you for hurting my father.
I wish only for the salvation of mankind. But for that to happen, the world must first be remade. And for that, we need God.
You self-righteous witch! No one asked you to help!
What's growing within you? You despise me, don't you?
You're damned right I do!
That's good.
Okay, so now we're in the church, and I'm not gonna lie, we're gonna have to piece up Claudia. We obtain the Eye of the Night tarot card. Then we enter a confession stand as a woman is crying.
Dear God, please forgive me. I know I'll be put to death for the sins I've committed. And I'll go to my death gladly and with a peaceful heart. But please, grant me just a small piece of your everlasting mercy. Let me see my child once within your golden gates. Deliver me not to hell, but to purgatory. Allow me to atone for my sins there. I'll stand within the very flames of redemption, no matter how they burn me. Forgive me for my wicked act of revenge. And deliver the soul of my poor murdered daughter. Please, also care for the soul of the girl whose life I have taken. God, I am a child, trembling with fear as I stare at death. Soothe my tortured soul with your infinite mercy. Please, forgive me.
We are given the option to forgive the woman or say nothing. I choose silence because I feel that it's not Heather's place to say anything. Plus, we kind of want to stray away from all these God-related ideologies as much as we can. Then we find the map of the church, as it looks like a child drew it. But anyway, we obtain a cassette tape, then we find the Moon Tarot card as a little cutscene plays.
Hiya, Heather.
You show up everywhere, don't you?
You make me sound like some kind of unwanted pest.
Well, who are you anyway?
Haven't you realized that yet?
Yeah, you're on Claudia's side.
told you not to put me in the same category as that mad woman.
Well, you're pretty loony yourself.
It's true. We believe in the same God. But I'm quite sane.
So why did you help me out then? Was that also part of trying to resurrect God?
It's not uncommon for people to worship the same God and still disagree.
God? Are you sure you don't mean devil?
Whichever you like. The point is that now I really am on your side. I don't want God to be born. Wouldn't be convenient. Much too unpredictable.
So you've been using me to stop Claudia, is that it? Do your own dirty work.
My dirty work? I think we both had our own interests in mind. You hate her too, don't you? You're the only one who can get it done. I don't have powers like you two. Besides, I always hated getting all hot, sweaty.
Oh, really?
I'm just looking out for myself. Everyone does it. Don't stand there looking so smug. You're the worst person in this room. You come here and enjoy spilling their blood. And listening to them cry out. You feel excited when you step on them and snuff out their lives.
Are you talking about the monsters?
Monsters? They look like monsters to you? Oh, no. Don't worry. It's just a joke. By the way, I forgot to ask you. Did you get the seal of Metatron?
What's that?
You don't have it? Leonard was carrying it!
You mean this thing?
Yes, that's it. As long as we have that, we're fine. Here, take this.
So now we get the book Otherworld Laws. We go down an elevator and get the Hanged Man tarot card. Then we see a diary on a bloodied mattress. Heather mentions this writing. Is this Dad's diary? Why would it be here? It states, I sometimes have the sense, even now, that girl is a reincarnation of Alessa. I don't worry about it much now. That's all forgiven. You were unloved, Cheryl. Or was that Alessa? Now Cheryl is Alessa again. No matter whose reincarnation she may have been. That girl was my most beloved treasure. But that name was a mistake. At the time I thought of her as only a replacement for my lost Cheryl. When she knows the truth, will she feel bad? That's what worries me. Heather says, thanks Dad. So I was Alessa after all, but I do have just a trace of one more memory left. I haven't forgotten my sweet and gentle mother. We then pick up the brass key from Alessa's room. We see Valtiel again and an invisible entity leaving footprints as we follow and open a door. Then we grab the full tarot card in the room that Alessa was stuck in. This entire area is now red, and we use the brass key to progress. We defeat a little chunker to use our cassette tape.
Do you know about what happened here 17 years ago? You've been here a long time. You must have heard some details.
A group of pagans, blinded by earthly desires, spit in the very face of God. They tried to use the seal of Metatron to prevent God's awakening, but God drove the unbelievers away and threw them into the abyss. But due to their wickedness, God was unable to be born properly. And so she has slumbered ever since in the womb of the Holy Mother until the time of the awakening. That's all that I know.
That's it, huh? Well, thanks.
Father Vincent, I heard that the Holy Mother has been found. Is it true?
Alessa has been found? Did Claudia say that?
Yes.
Then it must be true. Her sight rarely fails her.
Bless the Lord.
Maybe it's because of her great faith, but I could never be like her. I wouldn't want to.
Nor I. The truth is, Sister Claudia frightens me a little.
Well now, let's both show our faith by forgetting about this little talk, okay?
Yes, but does that mean this land will finally be the home of eternal paradise?
If God wills it, my sister. If God wills it.
Then we find the High Priestess tarot card in Claudia's room, and also her diary that reads, November 10th. She didn't die then, she was born. I knew that for a fact, but then why haven't I found her yet? They were supposed to need her power to build paradise, for the happiness of the people. She was supposed to be reborn for that. I'd really like to see her. November 14th. Read the Book of Praise. I want to thank Father for lending me such an invaluable book. I found what I'd been searching for in there, how to awaken God, but it's much too cruel. Will I be able to pull it off when I see her? November 16th. I was free all day, so I read A Modern History of Refugees and Young Slaves' Child Exploitation. I don't want to be a mere bystander in this world. I can't do anything now though, and that's what's hard. Then we see a birthday card. To little Claudia, happy 6th birthday. I love you as if you were my real sister. Here's to you. It's so sweet, but sadly, she still gotta go, man. She gotta go. Now that we have acquired all the tarot cards, we can now open the door blocking our path. We go through the final door and a cutscene plays.
What do I want? Well, for the two of you to die, that would be nice. Then I could relax.
When did you stop believing in God? God lives. Just look around you.
But I do believe in her. In my own way. I fear her, and I adore her, but I haven't lost my mind like you. You think that this is the work of God? Isn't this all nothing more than your own personal nightmare, just like Alessa 17 years ago? If this really is the work of God, then I'd say she has lousy taste.
You mock God? Traitor. You will go to hell.
Not that again! Who do you think you are, claiming to know God's will?
Go home, Vincent.
Home? This church is my home. I built it with my power. The power of money that you view with such scorn. Although I admit that this atrocious scenery is all yours.
If you continue to get in my way,
then you'll kill me? Well. Well. The guest of honor has arrived. Let's get this party started. Heather, go ahead and kill this crazy bitch. This demon who claims to speak for God. The time has come. You can kill her now.
you'll go to hell!
What did you do?
Nothing important.
You're not going to run? I guess this is the end.
No, the beginning. As Vincent said, the time has come. Alessa, I'm saddened that you didn't agree to this on your own. But I thank you for nurturing God with all the hate in your heart. It's time for mankind to be released from the shackles of sin which bind them.
But a God born from hatred can never create a perfect paradise.
Happy people can be so cruel. Is it so hard to believe that sympathy could be born out of pain and suffering? Why do you reject God's mercy? Why Why do you cling to this corrupt world? You know that only God can save us.
And save you too? Happy ending? I'd rather go to hell.
No, I don't expect to be saved. And that's fine. Alessa, my dearest. For the pain that I've caused you, I deserve no mercy. Even if it was to save mankind. It was too deep a sin. It was hubris for me to try to hasten the day of her arrival. Sacrifices were made. And those are my sins.
You feel so guilty about it. Why don't you go to hell? Heather, use the seal.
Vincent? The seal of Metatron?
Now your stupid dream is over.
Oh, that's just a piece of junk. What do you think you can do with that? Do you really think it can kill God? I'm sorry to see you fell for my father's foolishness.
What?
You're pathetic. But God loves even you. Now, Alessa, there's nowhere else to run. Just accept it, Alessa. The pain will disappear. I've been waiting so long for this. Even as a child, I knew I would see the coming of this day. I knew I would be a witness to it. Judgment Day. Alessa?
Shut your stinking mouth, bitch!
We then use our pendant, and this happens.
What are you doing?
Dad.
She is nearly here. Alessa, what have you done? What did you swallow? What is this?
Looks like God didn't make it.
Stop!
God is...
Claudia!
kill God. I will burn God. If you can't do it, Alessa, I will.
Claudia! Claudia!
Yo, Claudia really gobbled that shit up like the dude from Monster House. We get some graphic imagery of a ruptured female organ and go down after Claudia.
Can't be dead. I was gonna kill you. This is God?
So this is God, and she's definitely seen better days, but due to her unnatural and forced birth, she is incredibly malformed. Also, fun fact, God's face is a reused asset of the Mary boss from the second game. Nice. We shoot God and it comes down and gives us a little spank. Then it does this fire attack. Personally, I'm not the biggest fan of this fight, but we rinse and repeat for a couple of minutes until we finally prevail.
Not yet. You're still alive.
Heather, what Heather?
Oh!
Just a joke.
You've got terrible
I'm
taste.
sorry.
Heather, did
You don't have to call me that. I'm not hiding anymore.
You want me to use your real name? What was it again?
Cheryl. The name my father gave me.
You gonna let your hair color go back too?
I don't know. Don't you think blondes have more fun?
And that's it. Silent Hill 3, baby! We fucking did it! Okay, I'm gonna mention the other endings real quick. The possessed ending shows Heather standing over Douglas as she's fucking murdered him. And then there's a revenge ending, which is just another UFO ending like the other games. Alright, so here are my final thoughts. I absolutely love this game to bits. It was an entirely unique experience from 1 and 2, especially with its more loud and blaring sounds and constant stress, where Silent Hill 2 relies on silent, subtle noises and psychological elements. But it was still a nice take on the franchise. Also, I love how they wrote Heather's character. She's very realistically a teenage girl that knows how to defend herself and actually questions her surroundings. Also, Harry's death was rather abrupt and slightly anticlimactic, which could be a byproduct of bad writing, but also the game was made in 10 months, so I can't be that mad. Also, there's not very many puzzles in this game compared to the others, which was intentional, but just kinda sucks because I personally enjoy them. I really liked the level variety this time around. It felt like there was constantly new scenery. I personally had a blast with this game and it genuinely scared the shit out of me at times. Also, I didn't get to mention it yet, but here's what the enemies represent about Alessa. This is all up for interpretation, so please get off my dick. Okay, doubleheads are influenced by Alessa after she was burned during the ritual to have her impregnated with God. The closer may be memories of Alessa's abuse from her mother, hence the big ass arms. Numb bodies are pretty self-explanatory. They look like the white tadpoles. The fatties could be Alessa feeling like a cancer that just won't die. And finally, I will talk about Vautiel. His name means attendant from the French word valet, as he is an attendant of God. There's actually specific locations where if Heather dies, he is seen dragging her body to revive her. He is God's helper. Alright, well, that's about all I have to say. I truly love Silent Hill 3, and I think it's just an amazing game. So don't forget to leave a like and subscribe because I really appreciate it, and this took a lot of time and effort to make, but that's about it. Alright, I'll see you later. Love ya. Bye.